With the Butt Kicker Gamer 2, what you see and what you hear is what you feel. Butt Kicker. The future is feeling.
Tonight, the closing stages for the PRL in its IR04 series take its top drivers to Spa, and to see how things play out when it comes to trying to handle a track with plenty of speed, some technical sections, and of course, plenty of pressure on the line. Welcome to RaceSpot and tonight's coverage powered by VCO. Here for the IR04 series to start off this doubleheader night. My name is Justin Prince. Alongside of the booth tonight is Joey Devin, along with our producer Hugo Wees. Let's take a look at the schedule and go straight into it, Joey. It's the closing stages of the season, and it's Spa. What can you say?
Well, some might say that Spa is a little bit oversized for these IR04 cars. It was a track that was designed for F1 cars all the way back in the 1950s, the 1940s. I don't have the exact year on that. I'm sure some F1 historians will be mad about that. But it's known for its high speed. It's known for being one of the highest speed tracks in the world. And when you put some lower speed open wheel cars on it, you're basically guaranteed to have quite a pack race where just sticking in the draft on the straights is at its most important. And we'll have a similar situation to that at Suzuka in 2 weeks as well. So 2 grade 1 tracks to end the season.
The roots for this racetrack here today going as far back as the 1920s. When this facility started off as essentially a street circuit in 1921. But there's plenty to talk about when it comes to the standings for the IR04s today. Hamilton and Cabo Easy has been very dominant throughout the campaign. 45 points, 7 out of the 8 victories this season. Kevin Santana, the OER victor this campaign. Those 2 drivers have been the kings of the season. Cabo Easy can essentially lock up a title today.
Yeah, Cabo Easy put himself in the top 10 of all time in PRL open wheel wins last week with his 7th win. So his ceiling is non-existent. I think he's going to be going for a potential 9-win season here. Kevin Santana is hoping, though, that Hamilton has a little bit of trouble this week and keeps him in with a mathematical chance of the championship next week at least. But I think as long as Hamilton finishes the next 2 weeks, he's got the championship up. He's sealed it.
They've been the 2 quickest drivers throughout the campaign. It's going to be interesting how the battles fare out for the remainder of the top 5. But let's take a quick glance over to the team side as well, because you have YS Motorsports Black, who lead the way with their respective team. That's the only other victory, essentially, for their respective camp. Cabo Easy has been on his own, essentially, out of the team championship side. VHR Racing needs a strong day today to have a shot.
Yeah, they need to pick up a lot of points. They had a troubled race at Imola last week. I think all 3 drivers, Sean Duhamel, Donald Olson, and Dave Peterson, all got into a little bit of trouble last week at Imola. Blown Tranny Racing, they're right on the tail, 1 point behind, and Crikey Esports and YS Motorsports Gold also tied on points. So there might not be a battle for the lead of the championship, but there's certainly a battle for the top 3 and the top 5.
Crikey indeed, especially with Crikey Esports scoring more points than YS Motorsports Gold by 14 the last time out to close up that respective gap. There's plenty to talk about when it comes to today's action in turn. Before we go into things, we'd like to remind you tonight's coverage is brought to you by VCO, the virtual competition organization. Tonight also presented by Advanced Sim Racing. Owned and operated by passionate sim racers, Advanced Sim Racing designs and builds the sturdiest and most durable aluminum profile racing simulation cockpits available in the market today. All PRL members also get a 5% discount on ASR products using the Precision 5 coupon code. Tonight also brought to you by Racebox Sim Racing. Racebox offers mid and high and button boxes for sim racing enthusiasts. Casual gamer up to the most meticulous sim racing driver. Competitively priced and carefully handcrafted, button boxes are an enjoyable addition to any sim racing setup. RaceSpotTV and get a 5% discount code using the Precision 5 coupon code. Tonight also brought to you by RaceLab apps. RaceLab helps you improve your driving skills. Our overlays race statistics, VR integration, best out of on racing. Start using it now for free at racelab.app. Tonight also brought to you by the Butt Kicker. Butt Kicker products include incredible immersion and bring realism to every game. Every nuance and truly put yourself in the driver's seat. And by Ninja Trader. Compete against the financial markets. Working more than 60,000 users across the globe, Ninja Trader provides award-winning trading software and brokerage services. Trader is always free to use for advanced charting, backtesting, and trade simulation. Visit ninjatrader.com to get started. Risk-free train simulator and start tracking performance. Drivers in the midst of qualifying. In fact, the final 90 seconds of it, 20 minutes open qualifying, and this session has gone back and forth, back and forth. Kevin Santana is at the top of the board for now with a 220.8. Michael Dowden in second, Hamilton Akabueezy, Elite Magnan, and Christopher Richards, the current top 5. Right now, the top 5 separated by about 0.6 of a second. What a run for Michael Dowden so far. Be up towards the front. He was one of the quickest in practice, Joey. Great response, Joey. Either way, qualifying's been pretty crazy today, Joey. Still, plenty to discuss when it comes to the potential with some of the shuffling today. 26 drivers entering today's action. 22 set respective times so far. Of note that haven't set times so far, once again, James O'Brien electing to challenge himself, has not set up a time. He was mid-pack in practice, where he's charged through the pack several times. Dave Peterson looking to try and charge his way up the board from 7th spot currently. Let's keep an eye on the 35 as the qualifying session comes to the checkered. Peterson amongst those with a fair bit of separation on the racetrack to close out this respective run, has showed flashes of speed, 4th in the point standings, 88 points back of the championship leader, yes, but amongst those, absolutely amongst that team fight, looking to pull it on off, not going to set an additional time. His personal best at 2:21.5 was the last time around. Akabueezy needing to pick up another 10.5 or so, charge up to the top of the board. Akabueezy, as talked about, has been very much untouchable much of the season. He and Kevin Santana trading times throughout the practice session as well. Not a surprise to see the same case coming throughout this qualifying session today. See what the pink, white, and yellow machine can do here. Run up through Blanchimont, one of the main power spots for today. Keep an eye on potential sends into the final chicane. As passing opportunity expected to be the Camel Straight up to Lacombe, up through 5 and 6 before the run, heading off towards the middle sector. Cabo Easy, will he try and set one? Yes, he is. Cabo Easy using all the runoff space. Needs to pick up a couple tenths. It's a 220.5, and it's a new top of the board time by 3 tenths. That should just about do it for the session. Two other drivers on the racetrack. David Hebert, who is in 15th position. Their driver is Brian Bender, who is running slow from the 20th spot. Pretty competitive qualifying session. Well, it's been an eventful one as Hebert hits a little bit of the curbing. We'll try and set a time. However, likely we'll lose time with that hit to the rumble strips. Yes, 4 tenths off his personal best. Brian Bender also very slow. Coming out of the final sector will not set an additional lap time. So that just about does it for qualifying here from Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps. 26 entrants making their way to the racetrack. Let's take a look at how they'll start today. 3 tenths the difference for the pole for Cabo Easy today over Kevin Santana. Michael Dowden and Philippe Magnan the top 4, and Andrew Moran and Christopher Richards your top 6. Peterson and Owen McLaughlin amongst the top 8. Zachary Zert and Guillaume Pavin the top 10. David Cristelli was amongst one of the quick drivers early in practice, starts 11 today. Austin Harrison 12. Donald Olson, so is Bernie, and David Hebert amongst the top 15 starting spots. Drewski starts in 16th, Sean Duhamel and Tyler Gore, your top 18. In Cabana starts 19th with Brian Bender. In 20th, the R2 drivers setting times, Adam Sands, Thomas Coyle. 4 drivers did not set times this session. Ryan Keynes, Michael Blaze, Brad Winter, James O'Brien. All of those drivers are in the paddock currently, part of the preparation for tonight. Just a couple moments away from the drivers making their way to the starting grid. Final commands just given over race control, part of the preparation. Keep in mind when it comes to Cabo Easy, the talent level we've seen, see him progress to F3 possibly next December. The drivers now completing their setups. Let's take a look at the track conditions. You see how big the difference is from qualifying. Down to 73 degrees Fahrenheit for the race conditions. 65 is the air temp. Then it's partly cloudy skies in turn. Around noon in sim time, 12:10 to be precise, on April Fool's Day, 2023. We're in the future. So the drivers now making their way to the starting grid for tonight's action. Expect it to be a very busy start on the run through the source. The best prime opportunities to make passes the Campbell Straight is talked about, as well as the run to the final chicane. Your danger spots go on the run for 5 and 6. Expect potential with trouble as well, going out of no name, as well as in that final chicane, and of course, source off the jump. Glad to have you with us here on RaceSpot and VCO for tonight's action, the PRL and the IR04 series. In turn, 14 laps up on the board, 35 minutes, whatever comes first. When it comes to today's format, keep in mind the strategy for the fuel, 50% is the fuel limit for these drivers today. Just waiting for the last of the couple drivers. Kevin Santana, Austin Harris, going to get themselves rolling for today. They finish up their preparations here at Spa. All the drivers are set to go. It's time to go racing from Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps. The green lights are waiting. A Cabo Easy inside, Santana outside. We're underway from Spa. And a clean start for Cabo Easy off to La Source. He hugs the inside. Santana loses ground to Michael Dowden off the launch. Andrew Moran side by side with Magnan, and the battle for 4th spot off the jump. No incidents in the run through La Source. They make their way up the Campbell Straight for the first time, and already the top 3 looking to break away side by side for second, Joey.
This is the critical moment, though. You cannot let Hamilton to Cabo Easy get away. If he gets out of draft range, he wins this race with no competition whatsoever. But Michael Dowden tried to make it 3 wide. He didn't make contact coming into La Source there, but he is able to stick within draft range. Kevin Santana's fallen quite a bit back, though.
That was really close. There might have been a little tire rub at least for a combo easy from Dowden. Still able to hold on though for second. Moran trying to battle it out for third. Santana losing plenty of ground in that section. Cabana and Blaze with troubles. More troubles now for Donald Olson, who's off in the sand trap. The rest of the field now is crashing. There goes Burning from the top 15 as the back half of the field crashes in No Name.
Cold tires on lap 1 through there. You think you can take way more speed than you actually can, but these IRO4s do not have as much downforce as you think they do. And when those tires are not warmed up yet, and they definitely weren't considering we were just running on a straight for basically the entirety of the first half of this lap, that's what can happen when you're not ready for what those tires are going to do.
Austin Harris, Marcellus Brunning, Matt Rzucki, Ian Cabana, Michael Blaze all out with damage, already towing. That's broken up the back half of the field up at the front part. Magnan still holding on to the top 5 for now. Christopher Richards trying to close up the ground as they make their way through Blanchemont for the first time.
This is the second best place to set up a move. Of course, your best opportunity is going to be on that very, very long straight from La Source all the way up to Les Combes there. But this back straight is not very straight. It is a straight all the same, though, and it's a heavy braking zone into the bus stop. It does switch back, so it's not a straightforward move, but it is definitely one of your optimal places to go for it. Christopher Richards wasn't able to peek to the inside of Philippe Magnan there, though, so he's going to have to get back in line and wait for a better opportunity into Les Combes in about a mile or 2 miles' time.
Here's a look at the trouble spots. This is Burning again, No Name, at least 4 or 5 cars collected up along the tire barrier. Not what you're expecting off the jump. Cabert also having to get damage repaired from that.
Yeah, and that wasn't a case of cold tires going around like I thought it was. That was just a case of close quarters on lap 1, and that's the most street circuit-esque part of Spa over there. The walls are right there. You make the littlest bit of contact, and you're getting spat back onto the track, and there's no place to recover. But look at Hamilton and Cabo Easy going snake mode already on Michael Dowden.
Dowden going for a launch. He nearly hits the side of a Cabo Easy, who avoids him. A Cabo Easy takes the preferred line off the turn 7, holds off the defense. What a move from Dowden right off the draft.
And it's good to see Dowden competing. I think he's only done, what, 1 race this season? He's done 2 races. He was here for around 5 and 6, but he's been a part-time driver. He joined our series a little bit late in the season, but he's had some great performances, and this is easily the best we've seen from him. And he can't lose a Cabo Easy now, basically, unless he makes a mistake and half spins somewhere. He's going to be within draft range no matter what. So he's going to keep getting those shots to pass Cabo Easy, and that's all he can do for the next 12 laps, basically.
Keep in mind, Andrew Moran up 2 spots, is up to 3rd, and is closing into this top 2. But now he's running the middle sector. So this might become a 3-car fight yet again, possibly, if the 99 can find a way to close up to these 2. As there goes a Cabo Easy nearly to the sand.
And that might be a little bit of track limits that a Cabo Easy has to start thinking about. You do only get 13 incident points, and Spa is always a place where those incident points can rack up very, very quickly. There's some very attractive runoff areas you want to extend a little bit, but Spa always bites, especially when you barely go over the limits. So they got to start thinking about those limits, because you don't want to get a drive-through here. It is a very, very long drive-through.
Here comes the run for the lead. Dowden up the inside of the final chicane. Cabo Easy lets him have it. New race leader Michael Dowden, but for how long? Already closing up the first 2 laps, in fact. 1.3 seconds the gap with Santana back to 3rd. Here comes a Cabo Easy for the outside, and Lasource no.
As usual, the whole Cabo Easy family is out in the YouTube chat. We got R early, who's apparently a cousin. The uncle's here. The grandparents are here. Everybody's here to cheer Hamilton on, and he's actually in the best position here. He might be in 2nd coming up into Radion Eno Rouge here, but there is a very, very long straight here. Hamilton's got the momentum. He's going to be able to pull to the outside. Dowden can't defend. There's just no time to do so. Hamilton's going to have to try and outbrake him here coming into Les Combes.
Side by side for the race lead again. Dowden getting a little bit squeezy. Trying to build up the run of Cabo Easy on the outside. Dowden with the slide of Cabo Easy back to the race lead. And here comes Kevin Santana. 6/10 loss for the top 2 from the side by side. Santana now back in the conversation.
Now the whole train is starting to reform here. There was a little bit of separation on the opening laps as everybody got everything resolved, but we are fully train mode almost all the way back to P10 with Owen McLaughlin. Everybody in the top 10 just riding in the draft here. Guillaume Pauvin, a little bit further back than we normally see him in P9, but he can see the leader. There's a couple of pink pixels at the head of your screen going through Pouon there. Guillaume Pauvin in 9th can see the leader Hamilton Akabuizi, and that's exactly what you'd expect from IRO4 racing at Spa. When you've got cars that are this low powered and attract the rewards high speeds like this, you're guaranteed to be stuck with a bunch of drivers for the entirety of the race, and we're seeing that in effect right now.
Top to 5.6 seconds around the racetrack. Those battling is this respective grouping to keeping an eye on. Dave Peterson holding on to the top 7. He's gone back and forth this lap with Christopher Richards.
Gotta decide where to go here. Do you go around the outside in Blanchimont? No, you can't. He has to back out of that. I mean, he had some momentum, but Christopher Richards parked the bus in the middle of the track. He was not going to let old Dave Peterson go around the outside there. And Dave is just going to have to back off here and wait for another opportunity. There was no place to go. He couldn't go to the inside. He couldn't go to the outside. His momentum was just killed out there, and that's another part of racing here. You can't always go for the move. You've got to think, if I make this move, am I going to be able to stick in the draft of the cars ahead? Or if I make this move, am I going to be fighting side by side for half the lap and lose all my time? So you have to deal with that dilemma every single time you decide to make a move.
Take a look on board from Santana. We mentioned the gap closing up amongst them. He has a chance to line up for second. Akabuizi starting to pull away with the speed in the technical sections. Santana with the pull for second. To the left side for the Camel Straight. Akabuizi feeding drafted down and now feeds it over to Santana.
And this is the difficult game. Kevin Santana, I think he probably thought he might be able to clear Michael Dowden on the straight, but he wasn't. And you see him in the braking zone. He backs out of that. He doesn't want to fight with Michael Dowden side by side, because if he does that, that gives Hamilton Akabuizi a full second, maybe even 1.5 second lead. And that's completely out of draft range. You can't bring that down, and no offense to those two drivers, they probably don't have the pace over one lap to bring that gap down without the draft. So that was very smart from Kevin Santana. That's a driver who's very, very knowledgeable in open wheel racing and in the PRL specifically. And he's going to get back in third for the greater good of himself and the greater good of the fight for the lead.
Yeah, this is going to be the tough part possibly. Akabuizi, we know, is so good in the technical sections, Joey. How do you try and match that, knowing, yes, it's a speed track, but if you don't hold up in Sector 2, kind of hard to take advantage of the draft.
That's what's going to be worrying down, especially through Fania here. He's definitely slower. He's able to stick within range of Akabuizi, but he's definitely slower. You just need to make sure you minimize your losses there. You can lose a couple of tenths, you know, if you fall 6-7 tenths behind, that's fine. You just have to make sure you're not falling over a second back, because then that's when Akabuizi starts stretching and stretching and stretching. But through Court Paul Frere on the last lap, Dowden was about 4 or 5 tenths back from Akabuizi, and that is certainly close enough to take full advantage of the draft down the curved back straight here, and you can see the effects of it. He might actually have a shot to dive it into the bus stop here, and he will.
Find it again. The right side, there goes Dowden and Akabuizi trying to go for the cross. Santana nearly gets into him. Here comes Akabuizi now for the outside for La Source. Dowden once again leading the lap, both of them splitting the laps evenly so far. Under 10 to go now. Santana in the popcorn seat. Akabuizi with the run heading up to El Rouge.
And Hamilton's basically the only driver right now that can really afford to be aggressive, because he knows that he has the speed to be this aggressive. He retakes the lead around the outside of La Source on lap 1, which is incredible. That's going to bring Kevin Santana into the fight, but Akabuizi's not worried about that, because he knows he can drive back up into the lead if he needs to. If he falls out of draft range somehow, that's not too much of a worry for him. So he can get more aggressive than anybody, but Michael Dowden's going to come by now, and is Kevin Santana going to decide to make it 3 wide? No, he's going to back out of it as they hit.
They touch tires once. They crash. Again. They crash for the lead. Akabuizi goes around. Dowden holds on to the grass. Santana holds on to second. Santana had backed out of it, out of the Camel Straight. He might have knew what was about to happen.
That was a very smart and wise move by Kevin Santana there. I don't know what Dowden and Akabuizi were doing. There was no reason to be playing bumper cars with each other on the straight there, but that was just bizarre. So Hamilton is actually the first. That's the second impact, actually. We didn't see the first impact. The first touch was just kind of a racing thing with Dowden and Akabuizi coming into each other on the straight. I hope we can look at that again, but the second impact there, that was Hamilton moving over a little bit too much.
Trading of tires leads to a change of the race lead, but how long does Dowden now hold on? Santana looking hungry. Here's another view.
So Hamilton blocks to the inside. Both him and Dowden are both moving there. And then the second impact where everything goes wrong for Hamilton, that's definitely on him. The first impact was a racing incident where they met in the middle, but I think Hamilton got a little bit frustrated later on and moved over even more, and it ended up being the thing that's taking him out of the top 7.
They nearly just took each other out again in the top 11 because Cabo Easy was 11th. 3 cars crashed in front of a Cabo Easy moments ago. Cabo Easy moved up to 7th because of it. Santana holds on with his teammate Moran now in 2nd. Down and all the way back to 3rd. Richards, Peterson, Magnan are now the lead group, but Cabo Easy leads Pack 2 4 seconds back.
And this is what happened in front of Hamilton Cabo Easy. I think that's one of the blown tranny racing drivers, Guillaume Pauvin and David Cristelli, just all got into each other through Stavolo there. And there was no avoiding that. There's no avoiding that when the track is completely blocked by 2 cars spun in front of you. And that was exactly what Cabo Easy needed. He has clean track in front of him now. There's 3 seconds up to Philippe Magnan, but we know Cabo Easy has the pace to make that up, and we know these guys in the lead pack are all going to be fighting with each other. So Hamilton's still in good shape here, and he's lucky he got no damage that last time.
Down and under attack, no friends now. Big difference in speed by 5 miles an hour. 2x2 around the left side of him. Down and all the way back to 6th after the trouble the previous time around. Magnan closing around Peterson, Richards also clearing. And now this has allowed Santana and Moran, who are, mind you, in the same grouping of cars with YS Motorsport, to break away by more than a second again.
Break away they will, because Dave Peterson is still trying to attack Christopher Richards here. He's going to peek to the outside. He's going to try and get a better run through No Name going into Puhan here, and Richards is going to run very, very wide there. That's off on the runoff. That's going to be an off track, so he's another driver who has to start thinking about those incident points. We're not even halfway through the race, and we can't see the incident points of the drivers. That's kept secret from us, but I'm sure all of them are going to be keeping very close track of that, because I can speak from personal experience. I think I've been disqualified from a PRL race at Spa multiple times because it is so easy to rack up 17 incident points.
So easy even to rack up 14. Remember, there are some of the exceptions for turn 4. Run up through erosion running on for turn 4. A bit in turn 7 as well as turns 9, 10. And then every other corner also has an exception apparently for sector 3. So there is the chance to have a little leeway with the 4 tires. Not too much though. Here's a look still at that grouping. Trying to sort themselves out. This is again for 3rd. Richards' defensive line. Peterson able to go defensive as well to hold on as they ditch down in.
And Philippe Magnan in that Unit Sim Sports car, it always sticks out, and he stuck his nose in there. I think he was trying to scare Dave Peterson a little bit, but he wasn't able to. Peterson was also clear enough to block that off. And Michael Dowden has just come down pit lane. I think he's decided to kick off this pit cycle early. We're halfway in the race. He might actually have a little bit of damage from that contact with the Cabo Easy, so he might want to fix that as well. And he's going to hopefully find clean track in the back of the field, and I think he will behind Adam Sands. There should be some clean track for Dowden.
Damage will be a lengthy pit stop, all running more than 9 seconds for Dowden. Here's a look at Pavan, who is dealing with wing damage as well. Dropping back again a little bit further in the train. That's Zachary Zurt, Tyler Gore leading this respective group.
Zachary really had the best race of his season at Silverstone a couple of weeks ago, ended up on the podium, but here comes Peterson fighting back on Richards around the outside. The outside becomes the inside, then it becomes the outside again. It switches back 3 times. It's hard to keep track of, especially when you're in the cockpit. Now Christopher Richards is going to think about diving into the inside, but no, he thinks better of that, but he's going to be forced onto the inside because there goes Peterson off the road.
Peterson outranks himself and puts himself in the tires. There goes valuable points for VHR for the team fight. Just like that, things really changes, but Van nearly bends it. Here goes Zurt. Zachary able to drive around, and Gore now on his own.
Great avoidance there by Zachary Erd in that new bright green and white livery. It's always hard to pick him out because I'm so used to seeing him in that dark gray, but maybe that livery change was for good, because that might have given him a little bit of good luck there, because he needed quite a bit of heads-up driving. Guillaume Pauvin might be in a highlighter yellow car, but he kind of came out of nowhere there. That was quite the swerve.
At this point, the positions are falling at Caboese's lap, by the way. Yes, that's him in 5th. There's a chance he gets a podium from this. He's gained a second on the leader, actually, the past lap.
Hamilton is very, very lucky that didn't result in damage. He was like inching close to the wall. If you remember the replay a couple of laps ago, he was so close to hitting that inside wall. He likely should have damage from getting into the back of Michael Dowden, but somehow that car is completely fine. It's a very hardy IR04, and he's not even out of the conversation for the win, I don't think. Yeah, Mignon and Richards, they're just going to open the door for Hamilton. He's made it around the outside at La Source before, and you know what? Why not try and do it 3 wide?
What did I say? The position's falling in his lap. Caboese lets them fight this time. Richards up the inside, and Caboese just jumps ahead and moves past up to 4th.
Yeah, Philippe really opened the door there. I think he was trying to get a switchback on Richards going there, but no, he just completely opened the door for Caboese. Next up is going to be Hamilton trying to take 3rd, and then things do get a little bit more difficult because I don't think he's going to be able to ditch Richards and Magnan. They're still going to try and fight with him in the draft, but if he can get clear of these guys, there might be a 4.8 second gap up to Moran. There might only be about 5 laps to go when we cross the line next time, but you can never count Hamilton out.
Already coming to 6th to go. Caboese able to make it look easy along the left side. And just like that, Caboese back at the podium positions, 5.4 seconds back of Santana and Moran. Santana looking for win number 2. Moran looking to play defender currently. The pit stop window was open last time around, by the way. Bender Van Cristelli wants those who ducked in around the track. So now it's the question, when do some of these drivers duck in, with some of the drivers going halfway a bit this time?
You got to kind of think about this like a super speedway race in NASCAR, because you don't want to pit in without a pack necessarily. If you're Hamilton and Caboese, maybe, but you don't want to pit in without a buddy. You don't want to lose that draft because it's worth so much lap time here over the course of the lap. Even if you are fighting with a driver, it is still worth so much to be in that draft. So you don't want to pit on your lonesome. I think if Hamilton and Caboese comes in, I'd expect Richards and Magnan to follow him right in. I don't think they're going to want to lose him. They're almost losing him through the middle sector here, but I think Richards will be close enough to stick within the draft, and he's just got to follow what a Caboese does now. That's his only hope for the pit cycle.
Indeed, at this point, Caboese gaining more ground away from them. Richards still in that draft. And doing a sewing job to be able to hold on still as well. Coming to 6 to go this time around. And these drivers peeling is the question. The top 2 staying out. Caboese is also staying out, so no change for your top 5 for the time being.
Yeah, they usually wait pretty long every week. There's no real reason to come in early necessarily. They're not going to get any sort of undercut, and these tanks can probably go to around lap 11 or 12 even, as late as that, so they might just go for a 2-lap sprint to the end.
It was a good chance to save fuel potentially for Richards and Magnan. And in fact, absolutely. Of note, your biggest movers in the field tonight, Ryan Kings. We mentioned he did not set a time in qualifying. He's in the next pack. Caboese, defensive as you see on screen. Richards electing just to save the fuel, as to be expected. This is to be expected at this point of the race.
It is expected, but here is Ryan Kings fighting with Tyler Gore. Ryan Kings has been one of those drivers in the PRL, like Mark Kalin, who has just had nothing go his way all season. In the MX-5s and the IR04s, it seems like he's ending just about every race, either upside down or in the wall, or something's gone wrong. I think what he's done here is he said, you know what? I've had so much bad luck. I'm not fighting for the championship anymore. I'm not fighting for any meaningful position. I might as well start at the back and hope I can just avoid the calamity and drive my way forward. And it's worked out for him. He's got P6 for it for the moment.
He's one of the quickest cars on the racetrack. He's quicker than Richards and Magnan even, despite some of the fighting currently. But still, having to go back and forth with Tyler Gore, who's up 11. Mentioned Zachary also in this respective group. James O'Brien has also gone up 14 in the next pack. Here's the look for the 84. See some of the aero wash coming up a bit.
You're lucky to be alive after that Yampo van scare. James O'Brien's behind him as well, another driver who never qualifies, who always tries and picks up the pieces, so surviving is always rewarded, especially in a road course pack race like this. But let's see the effects of the double draft here for Zachary Yurt. Of course, Tyler Gore is going to get a better run as the second car in line. He's about 3/10 behind Ryan Kings. He'll have a shot into the bus stop coming up here. But Zachary Yurt is getting that double draft. He's closing down, and as these two go side by side, it's going to become a three-car battle almost instantly.
A pop up from Keynes on the radio. Keynes coming in. Gore making a very late call to come in and follow them.
Very late call, but that's exactly what I was talking about. Tyler Gore wanted a buddy, and apparently he didn't want that buddy to be Zachary Yurt. He was having a good time in the draft of Ryan Kings. He knew Ryan, or he knows Ryan is one of the fastest cars on the track, and he's going to try and use Ryan Kings as sort of a carrot in front of him to drive him forward, to pull him forward through the field. And we'll see if that works out for him. 4 seconds in the box. That's what we'd normally expect. And everything is kicking off now. We're starting to reach those last couple of drops of fuel in the tank. We've got to start thinking about pitting soon. Christopher Richards, though, is trying to save that little bit of fuel behind Akabuizi. He's not going to be able to get an extra lap out of this. He's not going to extend another lap of fuel. But what he's doing is he's trying to save a little bit of a fraction of a gallon or so, because those critical tenths in the pit stop, they always decide everything. If you can be in the box only filling your tank for 4.2 seconds instead of 4.4, say, that's the difference between an overtake and sticking behind Akabuizi.
Absolutely. Richards for White Flag Racing being very patient. Right now, 4.7 seconds, make it 4.6 now. Behind the race leader pack, who have stayed line to stern. A few tenths of a second separating them since the incidents and the fireworks went off. Akabuizi has been quicker than the leaders a bit in this sector, but not enough to eat up the gap. Is there a chance for these two to close up 4 seconds at the rate they're going?
I think the hope for Akabuizi is that Santana and Moran start fighting. They haven't been doing that. It seems like Kevin definitely has the pace advantage, and they are also both YS Motorsports teammates, so they're probably thinking, there's probably no use in fighting this right now. I should probably save that for, lap 13, lap 14, when the moves will actually matter and we won't constantly be fighting. But Hamilton is hoping that those two start fighting, because that is going to be how he brings the gap down. If these two keep running single file, Hamilton's going to enjoy a nice third place if there's no mistakes.
Coming up to 4 laps to go this time around. Looking up at the top two, and a split call. Santana in. Moran is not. Moran able to save more gas. Santana having to come in early.
That is weird that Andrew Moran didn't decide to come in. I guess these two YS Motorsports drivers aren't really communicating, but Andrew Moran might be thinking that the way to make this move is to go out for another lap, just try and run a lap faster than Santana, and hope to jump him the old-fashioned way with a little bit of an overcut. I'm going to see where Kevin Santana is going to rejoin. 4.2 seconds in the box, that's pretty normal. The pit delta, about 23 seconds or so. I think he should find a completely clean piece of track right ahead of James O'Brien, and he does. So Santana's in completely clean air here. This is perfect for him. Moran, if he wants to keep the lead, he needs to run the lap of his life.
Looking on board with Richards currently, now in second. They've already gained a few tenths on Moran. It's now under 4 seconds the gap between the 99 and the 107. Another 2 tenths picked up, in fact, this time up through the cone. Akabuizi is so strong right now in the technical sections.
And the other thing that Christopher Richards knows is, one, he can save fuel behind Akabuizi. That's always nice, but he also knows that Hamilton is faster, and Hamilton will pull him forward. And that's basically his only hope for the win. If he decides to fight with Hamilton, that means he's fighting for third. There's no chance of fighting for the win. So this is very smart driving from Christopher Richards. And again, that's one of those drivers who has so much PRL open wheel experience. He's had so much experience at this track, running races like that. There goes Tyler Gore.
Takes Zachary with him. Gore sloops it around in Lake Home. Where did that come from?
Good question. That came out of nowhere. I almost wonder if he clipped the grass in the second part of Lake Home and tried to swerve it in a little bit too much, but that spin did come out of nowhere. It came out of nowhere for Zachary Yurt as well. Let's see here. Yeah, he clips the curb, and that unsettles the car, completely loops him around. Zachary Yurt looks lucky not to get too much damage. I think he might be okay, but Tyler Gore just clipped the curb a little bit too much. It unsettled the car, and once these IRO4s start going around, there's no saving them.
Jan Paven just also parked his car, saying he didn't want to impact somebody's race. He's elected to park his car now for the night. Coming to 3 to go this time. Moran is in, Akabo Easy is in. Here comes Richards as well, as to be expected. These two on screen did close up nearly a full second on Moran on raw pace alone.
Now we'll see, has Christopher Richards saved a meaningful amount of fuel behind Akabo Easy? And if he has, is he actually going to end up jumping Hamilton accidentally? Because that might actually be deficient to his strategy. He doesn't necessarily want to jump Hamilton Akabo Easy here. He wants to use him as a pick. But here comes Kevin Santana around. Andrew Moran, I think, is just exiting pit lane now. I think Kevin's going to have a full second over Andrew.
Indeed he does. More than a second, about 1.1 seconds. So Kevin Santana on his own. Where did Moran just go?
Have the internet gods just stolen a P2 from Andrew Moran? No, he's back. He's back. False alarm. He's still here.
Yeah, that nearly cost Moran. He's now 1.3 seconds, so he lost a bit of the draft with the technical problem. Now nearly 2 seconds back of them is Akabo Easy and Richards. Coming to 2 laps to go, Kevin Santana needing to keep it clean to be able to try and get win number 2 of the year.
And Andrew Moran has to find all the pace in the world here. He needs to bring down this gap to Kevin Santana with no draft help whatsoever. He was about a second behind Santana coming out of the pits, but that wasn't a joke. When he blinked, that legitimately lost him the draft. He lost 3/10 because when you're not on the track, you can't get the draft from another car. And that's why he lost those 3/10 on the straight there, because he was not in the physical realm, and he's still falling through the middle sector. I'm not sure if he has the pace to bring it down to Santana.
Michael Dowden, meanwhile, we mentioned had to get some damage repair done during his pit stop. He's not backing down for 11th here. This is Donald Olson he's fighting with. Dowden able to jump up what could have been for the 8 car.
He'll come back at Suzuka next week. I think with a good head on his shoulders. He's got some confidence here. He was able to take the fight to the dominant driver of the season, Hamilton Akabo Easy. He got into a little bit of trouble with him, but it wasn't Michael's fault. It was definitely on Hamilton, and there goes Ryan Kings around.
Crikey indeed for Ryan Kings. Here comes Cristelli. And Kings having to let by several cars go. Yep, just looped it.
He clipped the grass, but it almost looks like he had a little bit of damage before that. That was an odd spin, but I think he did just clip the grass, and it's such a shame for Ryan Kings again. I think he's hoping for 2023. At this point, with only 2 weeks left in the season, it's never too late to turn the year around, but I think Ryan Kings is definitely hoping that 2023 starts sooner rather than later.
In our news, Kevin Santana now under 2 to go, leading by 1.7 seconds now. Santana is pulling away like a rocket right now.
And he's in control. He doesn't need to push necessarily because he's got 1.7 seconds over Moran. He can be 4/10 a lap slower and still win this race because there's no draft. But there's Ryan Kings again, looping it around to the bus stop, and that's the 21 of Bender who ended up getting into him. Somehow Bender's still in the top 10, but he just lost his front wing there, so he might have a little bit of trouble here in the next 2 laps.
Everybody with incidents. By the way, that gave both Bender and Kings black flags for incident points. Because, yeah, Bender without a front wing will have to come in regardless.
And I think Ryan Kings has alt F4'd here. Remember what I said about him hoping that 2023 starts soon? Yeah, I think he's going to take those 3 weeks after this season to never think about racing again and hope that his luck changes once the next season starts. And was that David? That was David Cristelli around in the background, I think.
Nope, that was Christopher Richards from
even
4th
worse.
spot, who just looped it. Magnan will take a spot from him.
2 identically painted cars pretty much, but here comes Christopher Richards. He didn't even really clip the curb there. That was more what I was talking about on lap 1, where if those rear tires start to get a little bit overheated, or when you're on cold tires on lap 1 as well, the car just kind of freaks out there with the elevation change, and it can loop you around, and it did indeed for Christopher Richards. He's not out of the fight for P4, but it certainly got far, far tougher for him, and look at this fight for P6. James O'Brien, I mentioned him starting from the back of the field. This might be his best race of the season.
Yeah, it's been a pretty impressive run for him to slice and dice a bit. Chance to be able to pick off Cristelli if he chooses his spots right here. Taking a little bit of a hard charge, but Cristelli doing well in the clean air. Now the draft will be the major thing coming up to the white flag.
He's going to have a great shot into the bus stop. James, he's definitely happy with P7 right now. You know, James has been an oval guy for the entirety of the PRL, basically. He's been in the Cup Series since the very beginning, but he's taken on these road courses in this IR04 recently, and he's done a very good job, especially with his strategy of starting at the back every week, and I think he'd definitely be happy with a P6 instead of a P7. He's not able to dive into the inside of Cristelli in the bus stop, though, but here he's got a great run. Cristelli defended, and it has not worked out for him at all.
Ryan trying to go for the left side of the racetrack. Heading up to La Source. We've seen him work a couple times with the line. Brian might have to do this up the Camel Straight. Lots of time lost trying the outside. Couldn't make that one work. Keep an eye on to see how big the defending here gets when it comes to this battle for 6. One of the close battles of the track. Also of note, Moran and Akaboeasy are back within half a second. Here comes O'Brien. Now with the draft. He's got the run. No defensive move coming. Cristelli lets him have the inside. Heading up to Lake Home and lets him have it for 6. Or no, he tries it. Now he's got it.
Yeah, he was certainly trying to fight, but James O'Brien was so much later on the brakes. That was a great braking zone for him. He almost throws it away on the exit of Lake Home there. He almost throws it into the gravel. But Cristelli's going to stick with him. We know David has almost equal pace to him. And this is going to come down to the bus stop, I think, on the final corner of this final lap. And Moran and Akaboeasy are almost just as close. Look at the haymaker that David Cristelli throws through No Name. He's not waiting until the bus stop. He wants to go around the outside of Pouhon.
O'Brien having to stick to the inside. A big bubble. We ran off the racetrack there. Cristelli once again with a run this time. Middle sector. Big block O'Brien. Cristelli having to back off. But as these drivers scrap, Kevin Santana, Hamilton Akaboeasy, Andrew Moran are going to close out this lap. Akaboeasy up to second. Able to strip it away from Moran. Moran looking one more time for second. Outbreaks himself. Up in the front. Kevin Santana takes the checkered flag and wins it at Spa. His second win of the season. Akaboeasy recovers to second. Moran in third. Richards able to get back fourth over Magnan. And the next close battle, O'Brien and Cristelli. Looking to close it out. O'Brien able to go from the back to 6th. Be able to strip it away from Cristelli and Duhamel. Be able to round out the top 8.
Michael Dowden in P9 deserves so much more, of course. He definitely would have been in the fight for the win if that incident with Akaboeasy didn't happen. But like I said, he'll take some confidence into next week. Confidence is no solace for losing a possible win, but it's at least something for him. He knows he did a good job. Coyle's going to bring it home, and I do just want to comment on Andrew Moran's haymaker there coming into the bus stop on the last lap. He locked it up because he was not ready to brake as late as he needed to get alongside with the Akaboeasy there, but I always appreciate a move like that. You got to try something. It didn't work for him, but you could see that he was trying with how hard he was locking up.
Thomas Coyle very quietly in 12. We'll see where Brian Bender gets cycled. He still has a black flag in sim. Outside of that, and the rest of the field, all laps down on McLaughlin amongst those who had a 9-minute repair. In 18th, Austin Harris, give him credit. Crashed early. He gained a few spots and is in 20th.
And points pay for every position in the PRL on road courses. As long as you finish 50% of the race, you will get points. Austin Harris will indeed get points. He's 5 laps down, but he's having a nice spa track day, which is never too bad. It's always fun to drive around this place, and here he comes. But Hamilton Akaboeasy, he was backwards on like lap 2, and he still finished second somehow. It's incredible that his worst race of the season is still second.
Unbelievable, to say the least, the recovery drive from Akaboeasy, but it's Kevin Santana who picks up the victory by almost 3 seconds. Andrew Moran held on to second much of the run, but lost ground with the draft after the pit stops, finished in 3rd. Christopher Richards, after his spin, recovers to 4th still. Magnan, O'Brien, Cristelli, Duomo, Dowden, and Olsen, your top 10. 11th spot went to Brad Winter, Thomas Coyle in 12th. The rest of the lead lap Sands and Bender. Bender currently scored 14th in sim. Ryan King's DNF's 2 laps down in 15th. Zachary third, as well as Tyler Gore, Owen McLaughlin, Guillaume Pavin, and Austin Harris, the top 20. The rest of the drivers behind them did not finish. David Hebert, Dave Peterson, Ian Cabana, Marcellus Bruning, Matt Brzezinski, and Michael Blaze. Majority of those drivers had crashes. Final laps of this one. In the opening laps, in a couple of the cases, the fast lap, Christopher Richards with a 220.5. Let's look top to bottom of the running order tonight, though. The race win goes to Kevin Santana, his second victory this season. Kevin Santana now joins us in the broadcast booth. Kevin, that was a pretty busy race for you to be able to get up to the front. How would you describe this win, your second of the year? Kevin Santana, do you have a copy? That's one more time. Kevin Santana, do you have a copy? You can tell the excitement level.
We love those technical difficulties, don't we?
Yeah, well, let Tim gather that up. Why don't we try and get a hold of Hamilton Acabo Easy? Since he charged up to the pack, and I believe half his family is waiting by. Hamilton, how are you feeling?
Good, but bad, because I definitely moved over on Dowden, so I already apologized to him, but I mean, still, that was a fun race. We would have been battling all race, and I still had really fun battles because the draft is so strong here.
It seemed to be an intriguing recovery drive, though, to go all the way from 11th, avoid a crash within a few seconds after your initial spin, then to come up to second. How would you describe that charge?
It was fun. I saw when the wreck happened in front of me, I saw a gap. We were 3 wide. I barely got through, but made it. And then just chewing away at Moran until the very end, and he kind of left the door open through, I forgot the corner name, but yeah.
Well, it's been a dominant campaign. Essentially, mathematically, believe might be the title in turn locked up here tonight. He entered tonight with a 45-point advantage over Santana. Overall, what's now the focus like for the finale, knowing how this year's been for you?
Have fun. Like, I was coming into this one to have fun because I had the title, so definitely just have fun. Suzuka's a pretty fun track. And yeah, just look forward to next season and also to Saturday with the Open Wheels 500 coming up.
Gonna be interesting to see how you do in that. And by the way, the word coming in, total is a clinch. Even if you don't take the green, you've got it.
But you have to take the green. You have to be here next week. You heard it from me.
Okay. Trust Joey.
All right. Is it next week?
2
or
weeks.
The weekend? Okay, because I'm with my mom next week. Oh, that's lucky for me.
Once you head back to the family, thank you very much, Hamilton.
Thank you.
Hamilton Acabo Easy coming away with the podium and with the championship essentially all locked up for him. Let's try Kevin Santana once again. Kevin.
Yeah, sorry, I was eating a waffle.
What?
You guys hit me with Cheez-Its. I figured I'd hit you with a Belgian waffle this week.
What flavor? Oh, is this a Belgian waffle?
You won your second race of the season. How are you feeling?
I'd rather raced for it, but yeah, I saw that one coming 3 laps ago.
Yeah, I was about to say, it looked like you lifted up there in the popcorn seat before the fireworks went off, but how would you describe the team focus once you and Moran ran away?
I was hoping he was going to stay with me so I could drag him along after the pit stops, but he didn't pit the same time I did.
Yeah, indeed. Moran dropping back to about 1.3 seconds or so. then a technical issue that dropped him 1.7 seconds back. But overall now, how would you describe the campaign as a whole? Essentially second locked up for you in the championship.
I just haven't had pace for Hamilton. He's been so quick this season.
Well, thank you very much for the time, Kevin.
Thank you.
Enjoy your waffle.
I'm gonna have chocolates after.
Oh.
Oh, sounds fun.
Belgian chocolate.
Kevin, yes, indeed. Kevin Santana, very hungry, picks up a win, defeats some of that hunger. Kevin is now standing by with James O'Brien.
Indeed, I am. It's been some crazy interviews tonight, but James O'Brien, you had the craziest race of anybody. You elected not to qualify as usual, and somehow you got a P6 out of it. How the heck did that happen?
I wish I knew. Somebody told me you guys wanted to talk to me when we were at Hungaroring, and I watched it back, and it was pretty cool. But almost the same kind of story here. I got a little greedy on one of the turns and backed it into a wall, and I was like panicking, like, "Oh no, here we go again! I just did it again." I think it's just a lot of fun doing that. I'm not trying to prove anything or any of that. I'm kind of trying to. I do a lot of oval stuff, so I wanted to use this league to kind of brush up on more racecraft and wheel-to-wheel stuff at road courses to make me a little better. And man, are these cars a ton of fun to drive. I'm coming back next season just because I've pretty much fallen in love with them.
I was just about to ask that very question. You've done so well with your strategy starting from the back of the field. So if you do come back next season, you think you're going to introduce qualifying in the mix? You think we can see where you stack up the rest of the field in qualifying?
Maybe. I can set a pretty decent lap. I'm probably not going to set the world on fire or anything, but starting from the back teaches me patience and all that, and just kind of like squaring my moves up, making sure I have a perfect pit stop every single time, because I seem to gain a ton of time when I do my pit stops to Hungaroring. I think I gained like 7 seconds or something, and here I did about 5 or 6. So we'll see how I feel. Confidence level and all that, it'll probably change next season.
And Private Label Team Hype has to be a pretty good team to be learning from in terms of road course prowess.
Oh yeah, we have quite a few names on there. I kind of did this foray myself, and I was like, hey guys, I'm gonna go do some F4. Josh Conker joined me kind of as a joke, but he's so busy with his real life go-karting stuff that he kind of was just doing it to give me some moral support. But I feel like I've outgrown the nest in a way and can take it on my own now. Just don't expect a serious threat from the team. It's just probably going to be me for most of the time.
I'm sure we'll see Phil Kraus in this series before no time.
Oh,
but
God.
Congrats on P6 tonight, and I won't actually see you next week. We'll see you on Sunday night first for the Cup Series.
Oh, yeah. Hopefully that's a good race. That's where I'll be a little bit more serious.
James O'Brien, P6 tonight, the best race of his season so far. Kevin Santana's having fun with some waffles. Hamilton at Kapoeasy. He'll be back for the Open Wheels 500 on Saturday. It's all going good here in Race Spot, isn't it, Justin?
Yes, indeed. And it was talked about the championship essentially locked up, but there's still plenty of action to go when it comes to F4 with the IRO4s. Suzuka's the finale, but keep in mind there is a week break that will move the finale to December the 1st, 8:40 p.m. green lights. Expect that one to be intriguing. Who's going to be able to bring the puns in the interviews? Find out next time out for the IRO4s. But as a result, it's time to flip the card over to Zolder. If you enjoyed the craziness, enjoy plenty more now for the Formula 3 series, as these drivers get ready for their penultimate race. Drivers in the midst don't final qualifying currently, but this should be a wild season second to last race here for the F3s tonight here, powered by VCO.
Yeah, I refuse to hide my biases towards Zolder. It is the worst track on iRacing. I do not like this place. I hate driving it, but I've been listening to a lot of the other drivers in this series, and they're kind of like, what the heck are you talking about, Joey? Why do you hate this track? This track isn't that bad. So, maybe I am in the minority here, and I think the fact that quite a few drivers do like this track means that we will have a pretty solid race here. We're at the alternate version of Zolder, which does subtract one overtaking zone, the little chicane of the final corners, but it does add a very, very high speed sort of S section where you don't need a lift, and that's going to be spectacular to watch every single lap.
This should be intriguing to see how things play out. Let's talk about the championship. There is a chance for a lock here as well for this, despite Andrew Waring having a DNF at one point, 4 victories on the season. He has a 48-point advantage over the former series champion, Alex Fournier. Good recovery back for Fournier, we'll say, to close up to second.
And that's all thanks to all the Unit Sim Sports drivers who show up in our YouTube chat every week. They're all allied there. We always see Vincent Trepanier and Cave-In and Arnaud cheering him on, but he's going to have a little bit of trouble with Michael Coffray, who's been on a real hot streak these last 2 weeks. He won last week dominantly. He could have won Long Beach if he had half a lap more fuel in the car. So that's going to be quite a fight for P3 with Kevin Sandiego as well.
Let's take a flip over to the team championship as well. Evolve SimSport as a result of rewarding part as well with the domination from him. 99 points, the advantage over Dark Horse Esports. Atomic Racing, what a recovery from the last campaign where it was a disastrous year. How about the fight for third with Unit?
I don't think it was too disastrous last season, Justin. I won 2 races in the AM class, so it could have been a little bit worse.
Half
but
your
yeah,
teammates crashed.
That's very true, and unfortunately, that has been kind of the case this season. But that turned around because Steven Ritters had a hellish start to the season. I think it was like 7 rounds before he actually got in a finish where somebody didn't take him out or he didn't spin. But since then, he's been on his A game. Takeshi Kita's been on his A game. James Carter got his best result ever at Long Beach. It has been a good season to be an Atomic Racing driver, and that's why they're legitimately in the fight with Dark Horse Esports and Unit Sim Sports and even Wave Italy Racing Team for that second place spot in the championship.
Keep in mind those final spots inside the top 10 expected to potentially flip around. Ninja Trader Esports holding on to the 10th now, but Monkey Butt Rides MRT is a point back, and then Quebec Force is another point back. So there is a chance for a lot of swapping in the bottom of the top 10 as well in those team standings. Drivers are in the midst of their preparation for this penultimate race of the season in turn. What an eventful season, to say the very least, as that close things up with the team look here for this one. Let's look at qualifying. Juan Colfray is at the top of the board right now by a couple 100ths over this driver, Andrew Waring.
Yeah, Juan was a little bit embarrassed last week. He was leading the race in Interlagos. He wrecked it coming into the pits, and that was the end of his day, but he's clearly brought the pace back here. He's doing a good job. Andrew Waring, though, it's always scary when he's good in qualifying because that means he's going to be very, very difficult to beat. You can see him through that spectacular alternate chicane there that kind of redeems Zolder a little bit. Still about 6/10 down, though.
And needed to pick up the tempo a little bit. He's now on his 13th lap so far in this qualifying session. Some drivers turning as many as 16 laps, including Kevin Sandiego, who's in third, about a 10th back of Juan Colfray. Ozzy Milwain also doing well in qualifying so far. Michael Colfray keeping the momentum up. You can see just how crazy this track can get today. It's a little bit of a tight circuit, and already some of the drivers picking up plenty of sand around this track in front of Andrew Waring right now.
Go might get a little bit of draft here for Michael Colfray. That might be a help. So, bop, oot and booby doo bop. Where in the world is Kevin Sandiego? He came down pit lane while I was in the middle of that. What an anticlimax!
I don't think he wanted you to complete the song today.
That might be it.
Takeshi Kita, your teammates, by the way, in 11 so far. We've seen a lot of sneaky runs for the pack, as we talked about. Top 7, in fact, in the championship standing, 6 total right now over Milwaing.
Yeah, Takeshi could be in the conversation for a top 5 in the championship. I think he's had such a consistent season. He got a podium at Long Beach, which was his first podium ever in a pro F3 series with no pro-am split, which was a great performance for him. Still a little bit off Ritters right now, about 1/10, but even split. Both of these drivers, I imagine, on the Robert Ridgway setup, which is doing them pretty good here. Takeshi also likely won't be with us in the F3s next season. I think he's realized that, unfortunately, down there in old Chile. It's getting a little bit late for him to be racing F3s on Thursday night, so he's actually going to move down to the undercard of sorts in the IRO4 series, so he can go to bed a little bit earlier.
See how things play out indeed with the change to the undercard. We know how quick Checkered can be. You can see just how tough the floor around this track in the middle sector is right now. Some of these competitors, plenty of shade around the racetrack too. It's even colder than it was at Spa, since it is November compared to the April start we've seen at Spa.
Colder Zolder. It's like it was meant to be. Checkered is not getting any older though. This lap coming to an end. Very quick, completely flat out through that chicane. It should be flat out. He brings it to the line. Still a 1:17.6 though. He's not able to find any speed there. As the track gets colder, that should be good for lap times. You should be able to find a little bit of lap time here at the end of the session, but Takeshi not able to improve on that lap, and I don't think Steven Ritters will, because I think those marks in the gravel in the background might have been from him.
Yep, nearly putting a little bit more gravel coming up as well. Good qualifying run as a whole, though, you have to say, for Ritters. Can confirm he did pick up some sand. Previous section definitely picks up some smoke there as somebody stops in that section. That was Lucio Vargas, who is putting his car into the tire barrier and move out of the way. It's worth noting one driver is electing to start at the very tail end of the field. Marc-Andre Laroche has elected not to set a single qualifying time, so 25 drivers are circulating around the circuit down to the final 90 seconds in session.
Yeah, that's usually what old Marc-Andre likes to do. He doesn't like to qualify for some reason. He's like James O'Brien. Here comes Ritters. I don't think this lap time is going to count, because you said he did pick up some sand, but he's got 2 more laps potentially. If he has the fuel in the tank, he will get 2 more laps, so we'll see if he can avoid the off tracks. And also, Steven Ritters, if you're watching, turn on your sim stamped numbers. We can't see your number every week. It's always hard to differentiate you and James.
Joey Haynes, meanwhile, 99, we've seen how strong Joey has been for parts of this season. He's top 5 in the championship for a reason. He missed 1 race in the campaign. Right now, trying to help out Evolve SimSport Apollo in their efforts currently. See where Haynes puts it here as he makes his way to the final corner. 40 seconds to go in the session. Enough time to make one more attempt. 1:17.1, that's his personal best. He jumps Ritters.
Up into P8, good stuff for him. Michael Coffray, a little bit lower than he's been in the past couple of weeks, but he only needs 2/10 to catch up to Juan Coffray for pole. That's how close this series has been this season, and that's how close it is in qualifying right now. Through the flat-out chicane again, a little bit bouncy for Coffray. Should still have the speed up here. 1:17.0 is what he's trying to beat. 1:17.1 is what he ends up doing, so no improvement for him. I think that's Ritters in the background as well. Don't see any improvement from him either.
Kevin San Diego trying to put it around the racetrack. He's to pick up about another 3/4 of a tenth, and it looks like San Diego may have had an off track. He lifts off the throttle, so San Diego not looking to complete things. Milwayne looking to try and charge ahead, meanwhile in the middle sector currently. Once one of the final drivers who could set a time. Michael Coffray still in the circuit. Steven Ritters just pulled off. So we'll see if Milwayne is making a flyer or if he's rushing for the pit lane.
I hope he makes it a flyer, but the fact that he just kicked off a bunch of sand there through the final real corner means it probably won't count. And yep, there he goes. There goes Ozzy. I'm sure he's not happy with P4 necessarily, but that's again a strong performance for Evolve SimSport. P2, P4, P8. These guys have figured out qualifying.
Just about to do the qualifying session. Michael Coffray is the only driver on the track who is attempting an attempt. Outside of that, everyone else has completed things. There's the attempt, and how about a 1:16.9 to get up ahead of Milwayne. So Milwayne's now in 5th. That just about does it for the qualifying session in turn. Drivers having a few moments prepare their setups. Let's take a look at how we start tonight. 26 entry-ins with Juan Coffray. Early in the session, setting the pole time, it's stuck. Andrew Waring, Kevin San Diego, Michael Coffray, Ozzy Milwayne, your top 5. Alex Fournier starts in 6th. Julio Palacio starts in 7th over Joey Haynes, then Steven Ritters, Manuel Vargas, the top 10. Checkered and Michael Broomhead in the mid-pack round up the top 12. Nick Horvath and Ryan Miles, 13th and 14th. Rob Campbell starts alongside Olivia Lechnold. Richard Swindell starts alongside Brett Thurman, the top 18. Tower Pierre Richards starts in 19th, while John Quinn starts 20th. Justin Johnson starts 21st, while James Carter, wearing a special charity shirt tonight, starting 22nd. Lucio Vargas, Matthew Brewer, along with Brad Miller, the rounding out of the time set. As mentioned, Marc-Andre LaRoche did not set a time in qualifying. He elected to use the skip qualifying feature to start shotgun. Real quickly, your keys to victory here tonight. 29 laps on the docket, 40 minutes, Joey.
It's difficult to pass at Zolder. The best passing zones are also the tightest corners on the track. The heavy braking zone into the chicane, it's almost impossible to go side by side there without making contact with another driver. So your best hope to make a move at Zolder is just to hope for a mistake from the driver in front. Those mistakes do often happen. It's a very difficult track, but it is not a track that necessarily lends itself to immediate passing. It's almost like Long Beach a couple of weeks ago, where you really need to set up the pass and be so much faster than the car ahead to actually be able to force your way forward. But you can see the track temps on your screen right now. 66 degrees Fahrenheit. That's a very, very cold track. It is November in Belgium. It's very cloudy. The wind speed's not too bad, so those tires shouldn't be struggling, which should make for a few less mistakes for some of the drivers in the field, I can hope.
Don't jinx it. Drivers have a few moments to be able to set up their final preparations, waiting for Tower Pierre Richards. All set to go for 29 laps from Zolder, the penultimate race of this campaign for the F3s. Again, glad to have you with us for PRL Formula 3 Series action, powered by VCO here on VCO and RaceSpotTV tonight. Pierre Richards has now set things up. It's time to go racing from Zolder. Are you ready to go? More action from Belgium. The F3 Series is all set to go. We're underway from Zolder. Juan Cofre trying to cut things off. Waring just drives around the outside to the race lead. One driver around in the grass. There goes a couple drivers in trouble. Nick Horvath to the back of the field from 13th.
One Evolved Sim Sport driver had an incredible start in Andrew Waring, and another one has to fall a little bit back. But that was a power move by Andrew. He had a great start, pulled alongside Cofre, and he was like, you know what? I don't think I'm going to lift into turn one. I think I'm just going to send it in here, and it has worked for him. But we know Juan Cofre can get aggressive. Lap one here, side by side through the chicane. This is always difficult, and everybody, I think, is going to try and resolve that. Steven Ritters goes around.
Ritters able to hold on to it, though, avoids the wall. Ritters nearly loops it again. Meanwhile, up in the front, Juan Cofre still trying to hold things off. Kevin Sandiego holding on to third. The top 8 now breaking away a bit as a result of that shuffle. Big defensive line. Michael Cofre trying to hold off Ozzy Milwayne, can't.
And that is the best overtaking spot on the track there. That's technically the final corner, I'd say, because every corner after that is just flat-out chicanes. But Cofre was able to do a switchback there. Milwayne was a little bit too late in the brakes, and you don't want to go side-by-side through that part of the track, and there's trouble in the background. Rob Campbell, with his best qualifying of the season's at the back. Michael Broomhead, who started P12, has fallen to the back of the order. Zolder's tight, and it bites.
Seen that already for a couple drivers. The top 3 breaking away by more than a second from Milwayne. Looking as drivers such as Brett Thurman look to battle one of the Speedworks cars, trying to set things up in the battle for 14th position. Here we go into this one.
And it's just under steers. The
Where
mighty
in
Quinn.
the world is John Quinn going as they crash down the back?
Julio Palacio, one of the Evolved Sim Sports drivers. It's still kicking off. Brad Miller now, right ahead of the mighty Quinn, John Quinn, who manages to avoid that. I think going off in the gravel actually saved John Quinn there because he got himself out of the calamity with his off track there. But that was Joey Haynes who ended up getting involved with Julio Palacio. So that's 2 strong cars out of the top 10.
One of the danger spots today. Well, you just seen it out of turn 4. So plenty of drivers getting involved in that craziness. Palacio, Haynes, Broomhead, Miller all getting damage repair from the second lap trouble. Michael Coffray shuffled back behind Ozzy Milwayne. Milwayne trying to find a way to pull away as Michael Coffray gets the tow again, heading off to turn 1.
It's always hard to get out of the fray of Michael Coffray. You can't really pull away, but Ozzy Milwayne holds him off around the outside in turn 1. It's an interesting corner, turn 1, because you can kind of go around the outside there. Milwayne has to check up a little bit with a driver coming out of the pits. I think that might be Michael Broomhead. I'm not entirely sure. I think Broomhead's got a different livery, so it's hard to identify him. But through turn 4 here again, a little bit of gravel from Ozzy Milwayne. You don't want to do that because that's what killed a bunch of drivers. That's why you saw Palacio and Miller wrecking, because they clipped the gravel, and they spun around, and there's no runoff on the inside of the track there.
Still keeping things tight, though. No send coming for Michael Coffray this time. Off to the section for Klein. Here's a look at some of the replays, and here's where some of the trouble was.
That was Rob Kent. No, that was Michael Broomhead. So that is Michael Broomhead in that new that military themed car. That is a new livery for him in Britannia iSports. He just locked it on the brakes to try and not get into the back of, I think that was Steven Ritter's, into the chicane, and caused all sorts of trouble. There's Julio Palacio doing exactly what I said, getting on the gravel, and there's no saving that. Joey Haynes, an innocent bystander, and Brad Miller should be coming into the scene a little bit later to do exactly the same thing and end up in the wall.
That takes out a few drivers. Michael Broomhead able to continue with minimal damage. Now 23rd lap down. Still keeping an eye on Michael Coffray. They are closing back up to San Diego, but Michael Coffray does not want to let Ozzy Milwayne have the spot. Big bad mistake from Milwayne. There goes Coffray.
I think San Diego did the same thing ahead too, so everybody is just throwing it off the road here in turn 4. I can't blame him. You want to make that corner completely flat out, but it really isn't. You want to take as much speed as possible, and you can't. But here comes Juan Coffray. This is a very, very difficult place to make a move. It's a three-way chicane. It gets very, very tight. Waring's giving him all the room in the world. He doesn't want to get taken out, and Juan Coffray is really forced Waring to let him by there.
Kevin San Diego back in the conversation now as they make the run up to turn 8. Heading through. On Kleinbach as there goes San Diego up to second. Michael Coffray, Ozzy Milwayne also back in the conversation as they have the Jackie X-Bar.
Waring just got out of the rhythm a little bit with Coffray forcing him off, and Kevin San Diego was able to take advantage of that. He forced it in, took that spot away, and Waring's not really interested in fighting very, very hard for second place right now. He knows he has the speed. He knows he can stick with these guys. He doesn't want to wipe himself out on lap 5, so he can still have a shot in about 25 laps time. But let's ride on board with him through turn 3 here. It's flat out. That's fine. Turn 3 is okay. And then you want to be flat out again through turn 4 here, but you can't be. You have to do a little bit of a lift. Waring stays in 4th. Some drivers, I think, downshift into, or he stays in 5th rather. Some drivers downshift into 4th, I think, through there. It's a very, very difficult corner. Then completely on the brakes here. It's very, very tight. He's able to recover, though. He's not gotten a cycle of mistakes.
A little more separation this time coming out of Klein. Group boot. Still keeping things a little bit tight, though. Keep in mind, Alex Fournier is adrift on his own and has not closed up to the rest of this top 5 grouping. Fournier needs points to be able to prevent the clinch for Waring, keep in mind, for the championship.
The absolute maximum that you can score in one race in a PRL Road Series is 37 points. So Alex Fournier needs to outscore Andrew Waring by 11 points here. Just keep himself in mathematical contention, theoretically. So as long as Andrew Waring finishes, basically, I think he'll be in a clinch position. But he is going to get aggressive now on Kevin San Diego. He's going to do the same move he did on lap 1 on Coffray. He loves to do that around the outside of turn 1, and that was a great move. Textbook example of how to do it around turn 1.
Give him the space. He takes the space. Sometimes race cars can fit there. Waring needing to make sure there's no mistakes, though. Kicks up a lot of sand this time. Michael Coffray now looking to try and break a bit of the toe from Milwayne as to make their way, this time through Klein. Early going, though. Juan Coffray leads by more than a second now. Top 5, separated by 2.3 seconds.
And all those drivers who stayed out of trouble on lap 1, I think, have been really rewarded here I see Justin Johnson, who's up a ton of positions. Tyler Pierre Richards, I think, is up a couple spots. And James Carter as well, although I think he's made a secondary mistake and fallen to the back of the pack again. But a lot of drivers up quite a few spots after all that calamity on lap 1. Ryan Miles for Monkey Butt Rides up 6 spots. Quebec Force's Olivier Legault up 7 spots. Both of those teams need that to fight for the top 10 in the team's championship.
There is Ryan Miles we're talking about. That's with Manuel Vargas. Manuel Vargas, we usually have seen have some struggles, as well as Lucio Vargas. Good improvement from the 22 tonight. Miles with a chance to move up to 7th. Up the inside. Forces the mistake. Side by side as they make their way off the 2 and 3.
Yeah, Manuel's been really good this season. There's been seasons in the past where he's obviously had the pace, but he's made a few mistakes. He's gotten into a little bit of trouble, but this has been a good season for him. Olivier Legault is playing with a little bit of fire there. He barely had a wheel to the inside of Ryan Miles, almost made contact with him, like the incident in the previous race at Spa, but he had to back out of that. Well done, Olivier Legault, for not causing an accident there, but that got very, very close, and he's lucky the old neck code didn't strike him.
And nearly came up to the side pod at least 3 times there. Keshkita's at the back of this train for reference as well. Stretching all the way back to the 10th position. Miles over the back end. Emmanuel Vargas forced to lift off, loses ground.
And that's exactly what Olivier Legault needed to get a little bit of a run here into the best passing opportunity on the track. It's a little bit less tight than it looks here at the corner name that has about 17 syllables that I will pronounce in a little bit, but it is the best passing opportunity on the track. Legault not able to take advantage of it, though, into Boulderberg Harspeltbocht.
It is such a difficult section. Here comes the run again. Miles wants to go a little deeper this time. This time across the curb, Manuel Vargas able to hold on yet again. At this point, Manuel Vargas decides to launch himself away from the spot.
A little bit too wide there through turn 2. This is such a difficult first sector of the track. It's like 4 90-degree corners, but every one of them is so different. And Manuel Vargas made one mistake into turn 2. And Olivier Legault hits him on the straight.
Vargas into the rear tire. Vargas loses a bit of ground there. That could have been an easy hook around, and now they're having a conversation on the radio from that.
I can't blame him. And Takeshi Kita behind, I think, is probably the most scared driver of all, because when you've got 2 drivers in front of you who are trying to kill each other on the straight, you really don't want to be behind him, especially at Zolder, because there's not much place to avoid. They got away with that, though, but hopefully they've resolved their differences on the radio, and they can give each other a little bit more room on the straight next time.
Yeah, you definitely don't want to see what happened there. There's some of the drivers absolutely key to be, by the way, just +1 so far amongst this run. Not close enough to make a move on Vargas.
Little drift there through the second half of the supposedly flat-out chicane to end the lap there. So this Robert Ridgway setup, is it struggling a little bit for Takeshi Kita? Has Mr. Sneaky done a little bit of Mr. Naughty to the rear tires and warmed him up a little bit? I'm not sure, but that was a scary moment from the outside, which means it was about 10 times scarier from inside the cockpit for Takeshi.
And just looking a little bit tough right now to even keep up right now. Just about has lost the full second. Some of the drift arounds here in this mid-pack early on in this one. Already coming at 20 laps to go in this race today. Been an intriguing one so far. Juan Cofre, by the way, leading by 1.3 seconds, has broken away from Waring. Waring's broken away from San Diego and Michael Cofre. So the small packs are starting to build up, such as the one we've been seeing.
Steven Ritters on his drive back through the field. He qualified in such a great position. I think it was P9 at the end of qualifying. Looped it around on lap 1, though. Got the right side tires elevated in the second half of the chicane and looped around on him. But Steven Ritters does not give up. He's on a recovery drive, and he has had quite the recovery drive. He's up into P14 now after clearing, I believe, his fellow Canadian, Marc-Andre LaRouche, who, again, is another driver who's literally made it up from the back of the grid, 26th to 15th, because he didn't qualify.
Yeah, I was about to say he definitely took advantage of some of the craziness. Still looking solid pace rise right now, but losing ground to Steven Ritters. Ritters last time by 4/10 quicker. Drivers that are now in this line. Still give credit to Lucio Vargas. We've Seen some struggles for the 710. 710 able to keep it clean tonight. Lucio Vargas has DNS'd in the past couple races as well. His most points 14.
Here, and it is punished for a very long time because there's so little runoff. Corners all flow into each other. You make one mistake and you're going to be paying for it for quite a while as Ozzy Milwane's come down pit lane.
You're side by side, in fact, indeed side by side on screen. Hold things up. Vargas trying to make some aggressive moves here. That is Richard Swindells, as mentioned, who had that spin moments ago. Swindells is under attack from Lucio Vargas now for the right side. Milwane still yet to make it to the pit stall so far. Vargas on the outside makes it work. So does Nick Horvath. Richard Swindells all the way back to just about where he started.
And it's not going to end for him because Justin Johnson behind has had a little bit more race pace. Has he had a little bit more race pace than Richard Swindells? I'm not entirely sure, but Swindells is on the back foot right now. Johnson's trying to recover, and John Quinn, the mighty Quinn, behind as well. He's got a lot of pace in the tank as well. So Richard Swindells is struggling a little bit right now, and he's gonna be struggling for a little while longer because Zolder never lets up as Lucio Vargas is off and in the wall.
There goes the luck for Lucio Vargas. Off into the tire barrier in the 710, a broken rear tire. Rest the pack able to zip on by without any impediment. Take Lucio Vargas now out of the race. By the way, Ozzy Milwane, 21 seconds in the pit lane, had to deal with some troubles, it seems.
Yeah, I don't know what happened to Ozzy, if he got some phantom damage or something, but there's Lucio just taking a little bit too much speed through the chicane again. You want to force yourself through there. You want to basically take it flat out, but you can't. It is deceptively tight, and Lucio finds himself in the wall, and I think his fellow Vargas, Manuel Vargas, has decided to come down pit lane as well in that last lap.
Yes, indeed did. Manuel Vargas is currently in, so some very early pit stop calls. Michael Cofre still holding on now for what is third. But Kevin San Diego, they haven't been able to chip away at the 276 or the 33 at all.
These are the two drivers who finished 1 and 2, or actually they didn't quite finish 1 and 2. I think Waring might have stolen second place from Kevin San Diego last.
Last time by San Diego, 2/10 quicker than Michael Cofre. 117.5 to a 117.7. However, Juan Cofre and Andrew Waring are running 2/10 quicker than them currently. The tempo, there's Michael Cofre for the send. And closer now on the ground as a result of the run to climb.
Into Gilles Villeneuve here. A little bit of a lockup from San Diego. It's a very, very low speed corner, and you almost want to turn in very, very early while you're braking because you want to set yourself up for the second corner in that chicane before you're even turning into the first one. But when you do that, it sets you up for a lockup like Kevin San Diego just did in De Boulderberg Harspelt here. Very, very long corner name. You don't have to say balked, by the way. There was a famous linguist from the University of GSRC named Joe Peak who taught me that. Balked just means corner in German, apparently.
I like saying corner.
Me too. It's kind of fun to say balked, but I'm worried I might botch it.
Here comes the send to a corner. Michael Cofre makes the move in the balked, so Michael Cofre to third.
San Diego's trying to fight back here in turn 2, though. He's brought that down. He just needs to get a good run through turn 4, and even if he does, though, it's going to be hard to go side by side into the chicane. San Diego washes out a little bit wide in the dirty air, He's sticking with Coffray here, but it doesn't matter if you can stick up with him into the chicane here. You're not going to pass him there. He's got to wait for the rest of the lap, and even through the chicane, you can see how far Coffray's pulling ahead already.
Michael Coffray hit a little bit of the turtles as well, launched up into the air for a moment. Diego forced to regroup here. Michael Coffray really starting to stretch out with the clean air, not having to deal with the aero wash anymore as a result of the rear wing. So Michael Coffray up by 0.6 over San Diego, halfway this upcoming time by.
I hope this isn't already the tires falling off for Kevin San Diego. It's not even halfway in the race yet, but this is the time, at least from my own experience last season, when if you are being very, very aggressive on those tires early on, this is when they will start to struggle a little bit. This is when you might start to notice a little bit of slidiness, and that might be what's happening with Kevin San Diego early on, but I hope he can make it to the end of the race, and I hope he doesn't do what I did at Zolder last season and parked it after about half the laps because I was having such a bad time.
Here's Nick Horvath for 12th spot. Up the inside, able to make the move work. Nick Horvath starting to pull back some of the time lost from earlier. Still give credit to the 17, still up 13 as he nearly hits the tire barrier.
Looks like Brett Thurman came in as well. So it's a very, very wide pit window here, which is interesting. Some drivers electing to come in early. Here comes John Quinn to the inside. I think that's Justin Johnson, and Johnson hits him.
Justin Johnson absolutely demolished. Apologies over the radio. John Quinn rolls backwards. Quinn avoids damage. Not so much if you're Johnson.
Yeah, I'm surprised that John Quinn car is still rolling, but I guess that is why we call him the Mighty Quinn. Matt Brewer takes advantage, but yeah, that's completely on Justin Johnson there, and he knew it. He just turned to the left there. He could have kept it wider there and gave John Quinn a little bit of room, but I think he thought he was clear. He was not, and he ate quite a bit of wall there. The Mighty Quinn, John Quinn, he might be mighty, but I think he does have a little bit of damage. That car looked to be crabbing a little bit, and he's going to have to bring it down pit lane.
In our news, up to the pack, up 10, Tyler Pierre Richards. Holding off Steven Ritters, who wants a starting spot back. Tyler Pierre Richards seems to find a way to avoid trouble in some circumstances, this time taking a colorful car to the track.
That's what you got to do, but this seems to happen every week, Justin. Richards and Ritters find each other on track, and I think they're just doing that to step us up here, because Richards, it's impossible to say those two names in succession.
Pierre Richards, Ritters.
That is easy. That's the loophole, I guess.
Pierre Richards, by the way, lost 0.6 to Ritters, as Ritters' internet may or may not be trying to say bye-bye. Still able to hold on, though, as he now spins himself.
His internet didn't say goodbye. His rear brakes ended up saying goodbye there. I wonder if he was about to get into the back of Tyler Pierre Richards there, and he had to really slam on the brakes a little bit extra, and that's what looped him around there. I'm sure we'll get to ride on board with Steven there. It looks like there's a little bit of front wing damage, too, so I think that is what happened. He just didn't expect Tyler Pierre Richards to brake when he did. I think Steven might have been a little bit stronger on the brakes. He had to react to that, and, I mean, he did a good job of not completely wiping out Tyler there, but he has gotten some front wing damage, and he has looped it around. Let's ride on board with him. Here we go, into the chicane. No, that front wing damage didn't actually come from that. It was just a straightforward lockup there.
The wing damage that Steven Ritters picked up, by the way, was a result of apparently around lap 8, Justin Johnson hitting in front of 5 cars. So that's where the damage for Ritters came from. Still keeping an eye on the blue machine. Looking at that's his teammate for Rob Campbell, Richard Swindells, who's done a solid job recovering since then. Oh, and lap traffic now being dealt with for the race leader over the radio. Juan Coffray wants the driver in front, Edward Roach, to move right now.
I'm not sure if I remember which driver it was last week. It might have been Juan Coffray, who had a key mapped for blue flag, blue flag, blue flag. He was kind of spamming it, and I'm sure that is what he's doing right now. LaRouche does get out of the way eventually. He couldn't really get out anywhere before that because the track is so tight and it's just constant chicanes. He does get out of the way, though. Juan Coffray takes the lead back, and Marc-Andre LaRouche did not cause much trouble there, and he gets back in line in, what is he now, P15. So that's how far Juan Coffray's gotten through the field already.
David Rudders, by the way, just parked it. Triple Eight also has had damage repair now for almost 2 minutes. So right now, currently, 12 cars yet to pit, 19 still running. Juan Cofre's done a very solid job this race, though, you have to say. With the traffic impediments, his pace has been there all night.
And I don't want to jinx him, but this has absolutely been redemption so far for Interlagos last week. But to truly redeem himself for last week's incident, he knows what's coming up here. He does have to pit, and that is what killed him in last week's race. That's what took him out of the lead. So if I was Juan this week, I'd probably be doing a ton of extra pit lane practice here, a ton of pit entry practice, because it is a tricky pit entry at Zolder. So hopefully Juan has mastered that down, and he doesn't lose the race in the pits like he did last week. And here he comes. He's in. Here's the ultimate test.
Juan Cofre is in. Right now running at the 36 miles an hour. He is below the 37 with the limiter. Does that cost him time? Michael Cofre is also into the pit lane as he dodges all the walls.
He's already done better than he did last week, though. I don't want to give him too hard of a time because this has not been a problem for him. It's not like Juan Cofre is the pit lane wrecker, but it's always going to be in your head when you do something like that. He's going to bring it down to his pit stall here, the first pit stall after his great qualifying, and should be about 4 seconds or so, 5 seconds. There he goes. Easy as that, and he should comfortably have the lead over Andrew Waring unless he gets stuck in traffic here, but it looks like he should get out in some fairly clean track. Tyler Pierre Richards is going to be ahead of him, but by like 1.5 seconds. He shouldn't catch him.
Running the mile an hour slower didn't seem to cost him too much time either. Only 4/10 lost to Michael Cofre. Michael Cofre still 3 seconds behind in 276. So Manuel Vargas, Ryan Miles already amongst those who complete service. Miles recently just pit. James Carter has also just pit. Here's a look at the trip at the 33 rather. That's Waring into the lane. Down to the cone. He also runs at 36 on the limiter.
Yeah, I don't know why that would be. Maybe it's like maybe it's at like 36.5 and it's just a weird rounding thing, but I don't know. That is
I think Waring just picked up on it. He's now playing with the gears. Listen, you can hear the sound.
Oh. That's what we like to see in sim racing, you know, those little extra bits. If the pit limiter's 1 mile per hour under, you can do a little bit of playing, maybe shift down a gear or maybe even take the pit limiter off and just try and ride on that 37 there. Wearing 5.1 seconds in the box. Let's see if that 1 mile per hour is going to get him out ahead of Juan Cofre, and it might.
Here comes the run out of the lane. Kevin Sandiego just finished. And wow, Waring with the overcut makes it work 3/10 quicker than Cofre in the lane.
It's not over, though. Waring is going to be on a little bit colder tires. There's no tire changes in this series. The races simply aren't long enough to warrant that. It takes you so long in the pits to put those tires on that it's not worth it. But Waring is still in slightly colder tires from being in pit lane for those couple of seconds. Juan Cofre is all warmed up. He's on a hot lap. Waring screwed up the chicane there. Cofre's coming.
Down to half a second. Juan Cofre's dominated this race. Can he get back the lead from Waring? Under 10 laps to go. Now within the aero wash as they make their way down the straight.
Juan Cofre has never actually won in the PRL before. Sebastian Cofre has. Michael Cofre has. They're not related to him, though. He's a completely different Cofre clan, and he wants to get his first win of the season. He's all over the back of Waring. If he can stick with him through this high-speed chicane, it's difficult in the dirty air, but he should be fine. Again, he's quicker than Waring and through those high-speed corners. He's not going to be close enough to go for a move into turn 1, but I think he might go for it in the chicane. That seems like a Juan Cofre thing to do.
Good run this time through turn 1. Off to 2 and 3, down to 3/10 the gap. Cofre tighter on the inside. Waring trying to hold on. There goes the deeper sand. Juan Cofre trying to set it up as they kick up the sand.
Waring definitely knows right now that he's not quicker than Juan Cofre on pace, but he knows that you can defend at Zolder with good car control, with good car positioning. You can definitely defend at such a narrow track like this. But we'll see. Does he decide to get the elbows out? Can he defend against Juan Cofre? Last time Juan went for the move in this very corner at Gilles Villeneuve, Waring just kind of opened the door and let him by. He didn't want to fight that early. But there's only 8 laps in the race now. He definitely needs to fight hard.
Absolutely. Kevin Sandiego had just now a slow up, yet taking less fuel. Juan Cofre spins around from second spot, nearly hits Waring. Juan Cofre takes himself out of contention.
I think that was more than nearly, unfortunately. I think he did get into the back of Waring, and that was weird contact there. He didn't turn Waring around, he turned himself around. And again, 2 weeks in a row, Juan Cofre is going to be getting so frustrated now. 2 wins potentially for him. I mean, I guess it's not out of the question. Waring could make a mistake, and Michael Cofre could make a mistake too. But let's see what happened to him. Into the final corner, he outbrakes himself, and he loops it around, and he almost gets into the back of Waring. He's lucky he didn't take Waring with him.
Waring absolutely very lucky. Juan Cofre, though, 9 seconds back of this driver. This might have just fallen to Andrew Waring's lap unless Michael Cofre starts chipping away.
You can never count out Michael Cofre, and he is quicker than Waring. The question is he that much quicker that he can bring down a 2.2 second gap over the course of 7 laps and then also actually make the move on Waring? You know, if you say it that way, it doesn't seem that easy, but Michael Cofre wants to make it 2 wins in a row here. And he certainly has the pace. You can see the gap coming down through the entirety of the lap. He's like 2 or 3 tenths a lap quicker, which means he could theoretically catch Waring, but again, making the pass is going to be way harder.
And we've already seen a couple times tonight, Joey, drivers with contact from the rear end having lengthy pit stops as a result of the damage to the back end that doesn't per se say mandatory. Is there damage on Waring's car? With 7 to go, he leads by 2 seconds now.
It's a good question. I'm trying to look at it carefully. Sometimes there is phantom damage of sorts that you can't really see, but the rear wing looks okay. It looks to be fine. I'm going to compare the 2 lap times on that last lap. Waring's last lap was a 1:17.6. Michael Cofre's last lap was a 1:17.2. We'll see if they can match that on this lap, but if Cofre is truly 4 tenths a lap faster, we might be in for a battle for this win. Cofre is easily better through the chicane, but it's through the rest of the lap that Waring's able to fight back.
That's going to be the tough thing right now. Now under 2 seconds. And here's the tough thing too, lap traffic. We've seen how things popped up with Juan Cofre previously. John Quinn would be the first one potentially to be lapped in the next few moments or so, in fact. So once that comes in, you lose the clean air for the win too if you're Waring.
And Matt Brewer and Rob Campbell here. I don't think Waring and Cofre will be able to catch these guys, but I guess if they do go side by side, something crazy might happen. But Matt Brewer here for MRP. Always good to see that livery on track. That looks like some people who make paints as MRP do. So it's kind of expected that they would have a good paint scheme on that car. He's got another good paint scheme with Rob Campbell behind him, but Campbell, we know, is nursing a little bit of damage, I think. That's hurting him on the straight. Not able to close up to the back of Brewer, but Brewer clonks the second half of that chicane. Campbell takes advantage of that. He's going to have a shot here into Gilles Villeneuve.
Campbell trying to recover from an early incident. Up the right side. Passes by the modernracingprince.com machine to move up to 14.
I don't think I'm going to be able to forgive myself for that, Justin. Modern Racing Prince, not Modern Racing Paints. I should really remember that. They followed me on the old Twitters.
For reference, they make custom art indeed, and various different prints that you can put up on your wall. Here's a look at his viewpoint. You see the VR.
There's no prints on the wall. What are you doing, Matt Brewer?
There might be on the other side. You see a frame.
Got to rep the brand Austin Hunter style, Matt Brewer, with the big sign in the background. But he'll be watching the broadcast. Maybe next week we'll see the camera pointed in a different direction. We are looking up at Matt Brewer here. You can see he's definitely pushing a little bit. I think there's a little bit of fatigue coming in here late in the run at Zolder. It's a track that certainly fatigues all the drivers, but it's always interesting to look at drivers in VR as well, because he's looking all over the place here. He's looking into the corner, and that's an insight we don't normally see.
Definitely following along with the viewpoint right to the T as a result of the corners with the VR field. The lead has just shrunk dramatically just now for Andrew Waring. You may have noticed in the pylon. Waring is starting to pick up a whiff of the traffic. He lost about 4 or 5 tenths just now in the first sector.
Kofre is bringing this down. He's putting the pressure on, and Waring definitely knows that. I don't know if he's the kind of guy who has the relative open. I don't know if he's watching that at the end of the race, but he's going to start seeing Kofre in his mirrors in that bright red Wave Italy car, and he's going to be thinking about the Nürburgring a couple weeks ago when these two came together. Waring sent it to the inside of Michael Kofre, probably a little bit over-aggressive, ended up taking them both out of the fight for the win, and Julio Palacio came through to win. Is Waring looking in his rearview mirror thinking, you know, does Michael Kofre want revenge for that? Is he going to be extra aggressive with me? There's all sorts of things to worry about.
There's the traffic, and there it goes with the blue flags. John Quinn comes to about a dead stop. Michael Kofre, though, closing up to 1.3 seconds. He was 6 tenths quicker than Waring last time by.
I think I mentioned before the race that you need to be something like 6 tenths a lap faster to actually consider making a move. And if Kofre's in that range, 4 to 6 to 5 or whatever, do the math, tenths faster than Andrew Waring every lap, he's definitely going to be in with a shot with the win. Waring struggles so much through that chicane there. He's constantly losing time through there. There's not really anything he can do right now. It's so late in the race that it's almost impossible to change your driving style, to change your line. But that's where Kofre's bringing that gap down every time, and Waring just has to make sure he can minimize those losses in every other part of the track.
Now this could get very dramatic. There has been an incident with Ozzie Milwain, by the way. Remember, he had a 21-second pit stop previously. He just towed the car in Sector 1. So the drivers are starting to build up the attrition. Milwain also with a black flag. Waring, his teammate, leads by 1.1 seconds with 3 laps to go. Michael Kofre about dead even this time on the lap.
Yeah, it might be Waring just turning up the wick a little bit after the pressure's starting to get to him, but Kofre's still closing that gap down, and he only needs a couple of extra tenths to bring it into the draft range. There's the trouble for the 14 for Evolve Sim Sport. Clip the death curves, and then even more death from the wall on the inside. So this seems to be the way that Evolve Sim Sport races go sometimes. They've got a driver in the lead in Andrew Waring, and there's a lot of bad luck in the rest of the field.
By the way, the official confirmation, I think for the first time, has come in amongst the Kofres. They are brothers. The previous stop was cousins. In the previous seasons, Michael Kofre trying to charge ahead as the Kofre brethren close up to under a second, coming at 2.5 laps to go. 2 cars ahead in traffic.
I always thought the lore was that Michael and Sebastian and Roberto were related, but Juan was kind of the odd Kofre duck because of that accent mark. But no, they're all related. They're all brothers. So thank you to Mr. Butt, Mr. Monkey Butt, for luring that out of Roberto Kofre. That's some good Kofre closure for us. Michael Kofre needs a little bit more Kofre closure, though. He has brought that gap down below 1 second now. That's critical. Put the fear into the eyes of Andrew Waring. If he sees that 0 in his relative, he's running out of time, though. He's only got 2 more laps.
Richard Swindell's the next car there at the lap. James Carter also ahead. Within 10 car lengths now of Arrow Wash to deal with the gap about a second. Waring having to give it a little bit more of a lift. 17 has lost several seconds just now, but the focus stays up to the front. Now for Sector 2, can Kofre find a way to close?
He's going to need to hope that Waring falters under pressure in the chicane again. Maybe if he reaches a lapped car at a bad time, but through the chicane that time, it was good for Waring. It was still better for Kofre, but Waring only lost about 1/10 of a second there, which is absolutely critical. If he's even 2/10 a lap slower than Kofre, that's still fine. He'll be able to hold on to this win, but things are going to get very, very troublesome here with Richard Swindells and James Carter. Those are 2 drivers who are very, very respectful. They're going to get out of the way, but there's only so many places where you can catch lapped cars and have them get out of the way at a good time, and this is certainly not one of them. Coming into the fastest part of the track, this is going to be a trouble spot for Andrew Waring.
Waring getting pulled ahead, if anything, with the draft right now, though. Coming up to the white flag, he's pulled a 10th this time. There goes 1 car to the left side. That's Richard Swindells. James Carter is not moving, though.
He will get out of the way this time. Waring's going to peek to the inside, but James can't get out of the way quick enough there. Waring does end up sending it through. Michael's actually going to get checked up a little bit, I think, behind James, because actually he might actually steal a little bit of the draft off of James Carter, or he might get caught in the dirty air. Anything can happen, but it's all evening out.
Michael Kofrey not happy. He just had to go in the sand trap to avoid contact with James Carter. That cost him 4/10. Is that the race for Michael Kofrey?
It's entirely possible. The lapped cars giveth, the lapped cars taketh away. They held up Andrew Waring. They held up Michael Kofrey easily. He's going to be very, very aggressive here through these final couple of corners, through the second half of the lap, but Waring's got this racing control. An 8/10 gap. He can basically cruise through the final corner, and it's a straight to the finish.
Strong send for Michael Kofrey. 7 car lengths back. But for Andrew Waring, he ended up taking advantage of the strategy, coming out with the race lead after the pit stops. His competition won. Kofrey spun around. Andrew Waring wins race 5 to clinch a title. He gets the job done over Michael Kofrey. Juan Kofrey recovers to 3rd. San Diego and Fournier, the top 5.
And that's a dirty dozen for Andrew Waring in the PRL. 12 wins, 6 in the F3s, 6 in the TCRs, I think, in Season 2, in that GT4 TCR IMSA multi-class sort of thing. And Andrew Waring, a road course master of sorts. He's really proven himself as one of those in the PRL. And that's some rarefied air to have a dozen wins.
Battle still going on meanwhile for 9th. Pierre Richards taking the spot this lap. It'll be a fight back for Nick Horvath in time at the stripe to close out the top 10. Not able to close it out. So Horvath up 3. Pierre Richards up 10. Second biggest mover, your biggest mover, 17. That car able to charge up 14 today. A little bit higher though. Mentioned he lost about 10 seconds to go. Andrew Waring picks up win 5. Clinches the title mathematically in turn. Outscored Alex Fournier. Michael and Juan Kofrey, the brothers, 2nd and 3rd. Kevin San Diego and Alex Fournier to the top 5. Ryan Miles, very quiet race today, finishes in 6th. Kashikita picks up 7th. Manuel Vargas, Tower Pierre Richards, Nick Horvath the top 10. Behind them, Brett Thurman in 11th, with Marc-Andre Roche in 12th. Rob Campbell and Matthew Brewer at the top 14. Rest of drivers lap down. Richard Swindell is picking up a spot over James Carter after being lapped. Michael Broomhead and John Quinn a lap down as well. Ozzie Milwane crashes late, finishes 19th. Stephen Ritter's a DNF in 20th. Then, let's know, Johnson, Vargas, Lucio Vargas, Lacio Hayes, and Miller runs the DNF list, wearing the fastest lap at 2 to go. So the celebration on for Andrew Waring makes his way towards victory lane in this one. Essentially, mentioned the 48-point advantage coming in. Right now looking at a clinch. Result of the run. Let's check the chance in turn as he gathers himself. Talk to some of the drivers, shall we? Joey Haynes, or Joey Tebben, I should say, standing by to start things off. How about with Kevin San Diego?
I wish I was Joey Haynes, Justin, but Kevin, I got bad news for you. It's Joey Tebben instead. P4 tonight. How did Zolder treat you?
We struggle here. Had decent pace, in quali and decent pace in the race, but it's a track that demands precision, and I'm not the most precise person, so had a little bit of a spin and ended up where I ended up, but all good.
It's kind of tough not to be precise in the precision racing league, but that's the trade-off you have to make. But still, P4, strong result tonight. You're in that fight for 3rd in the championship with Michael and Alex and yourself, of course. You beat Alex tonight. Do you think you're still in for P2, fighting for the championship in 2 weeks' time?
I'm going to give it a shot for sure. So glad we're taking a break for a week. Need a little bit of respite and come back and actually do some practice and see how it goes last week. I'm looking forward to it.
We do, of course, have that break next week for Thanksgiving. I asked basically all the drivers in the Truck Series race last night about their Thanksgiving traditions. What's going to be on the San Diego Thanksgiving table that might be special?
Well, we're going down to Miami to visit my in-laws, so we're going to do whatever they're cooking. So should be good. Definitely Puerto Rican flair to Thanksgiving. It'll be tasty.
You got to talk to Abner Acosta then. He was talking about a mofongo stuffed turkey. There was all sorts of stuff going on there.
Yeah, we'll see what happens when we get there.
But congrats on P4 tonight, and we will indeed see you in 2 weeks.
Sounds great. Have a good evening, guys. Take care.
That was Mr. Kevin San Diego, Justin, and I'm saving it for next week to ask him if he knows anything about where in the world is Kevin San Diego. I don't know if that's gotten back to him yet.
Still no word for Andrew Waring yet, so why don't we move down the line and talk to somebody who has an intriguing team name. Ryan, you quietly finish in 6th tonight. How does it feel?
It feels great. I didn't expect it at all. I had a great start, made up like 5 positions, and then I got stuck behind Vargas for a couple laps, and then I got past him, and then basically I was just cruising for the rest of the race. I almost threw it away. Almost spun out in the second chicane. I was pretty nervous about that, but I got away with it. Kita didn't catch me, and yeah, pretty proud of that.
Well, when it came to some of the battles, how would you describe the fights that you had to work through? It seemed, at some cases, we seen very busy for you.
Yeah, I was in like a 4-car train probably with Vargas, Kita, and Olivier. So I went for it in T1. Vargas kept on getting a good drive out of T1. So soon enough, I just pulled a little switcheroo on him, and he got a bad exit out of like turn 2, and I got a good exit, and I got past him there. And then after that, I was pretty much in clean air. Yeah.
Well, you've shown plenty of improvement throughout the season. How would you describe that improvement to charge up like you did and have essentially in the fight for the top 10 of the points?
Yeah, the whole season I've been kind of just outside the top 10. I've been qualifying the P20. It's been pretty rough. This week I decided I needed to switch things up, so I've been experimenting a lot with like different lines, just different stuff, and it's worked out. I've definitely found some pace. I think Zolder fits my driving style very well.
Well, congratulations once again on the run tonight. You pick up a top 10.
Thank you.
Ryan Miles once again 6, and now I think Andrew Waring is now standing by. Race winner tonight. Now half the race is going Andrew's way. Essentially a championship. How are you feeling?
Pretty good. Decent way to win a championship. It was a really good battle, and I didn't get a chance to look at what happened where he spun out, but it was shaping up to be a good last couple laps, and then it was shaping up regardless after he spun with Michael coming up. So pretty happy to win the race and go out and get that championship with that, and there was no incidents really, so pumped.
How would you describe this fight throughout the season? You were strong throughout the campaign, only one time scoring points below 30 points this season, in fact. How would you describe that fight and being able to build up the cushion like you did?
I've said it before, but I think I really took advantage of people trying to find their feet in this championship. In the beginning, a lot of guys were making mistakes and whatnot, and I was able to capitalize on that. But as the series went on, you saw people like Alex and Palacio, like all those guys just started coming up and challenging, and it was closer and closer. So I think, a little bit of, really getting used to the car really quickly, and then also just kind of understanding that with that first 4 races, you've built up that cushion. The worst thing you could do is destroy it, and I've been pushing, but I've been trying to push hard, and that's worked out for sure.
Well, indeed, and of course there's a week off for American Thanksgiving, part of Canada Club. I was going to ask about Thanksgiving. I'm not sure if you celebrate Thanksgiving with the American date or not.
We got one earlier.
Oh yes, indeed, we did. I'm Canadian. Don't panic. I know. I was about to say, what's the approach now going to be in turn for the season finale, knowing you essentially have the championship locked up, heading to Barcelona?
Just kind of take it the same way I do any other race, but try and not ruin anybody else's fight for their championships, but certainly just going to go out there and run my race and have a good time.
Well, congratulations on the clinch on the points. Congratulations on win number 5.
Thanks, guys, and thanks for a good season so far of broadcasting. I love watching the races back, and can't wait for next season.
Andrew Waring coming away with the checkered flag tonight. Gives him the mathematical lock when it comes to the points. Couple more other drivers standing by. Let's check in now with one driver we've seen fight to hold on to the lead lap, charged up 10 spots. Matthew Brewer now standing by in the Modern Racing Prince GP car. First question, I'll borrow this from Joey. Where of the Prince?
You got to go to the website. We're going sponsor first. www.modernracingprince.com. You know, I know we're taking off next week to celebrate Black Friday, but on this team, we're still doing the work.
How would you describe the work tonight for you guys?
Oh, this was classic back of the grid warrior stuff. You know, take some wing damage on lap 1, get caught up in someone else's incident, watch everyone retire, pass a car here and there. I thought if I had avoided a little bit of the early damage, I probably would have been in a better spot.
Indeed. How would you describe the progression you've had throughout this campaign? You've had a couple DNSs, yes, but starting to pick up the points as of late.
Yeah, I think at Fuji, I was like legitimately fast and threw away points. Then I've gotten almost progressively worse all season long. And now the results are kind of coming back here with Long Beach and Zolder. So I just need a couple more irresponsible choices from others in the finale, and I'll be looking good for next season.
Well, thank you very much once again for the time. And once again, do you have any prints up there? I see a frame to your right.
Oh, these prints, this is all the practice. It's all about the real racing stuff. You got to go to the website. That's where all the magic's happening.
Okay, thank you very much. That is Matt Brewer looking to make the magic happen on the website, apparently.
What the salesman?
Joey, I believe you're standing by, though, with one more driver, James Carter, and we mentioned a charity shirt with him tonight. Let's talk a bit more now with James.
Indeed, we were talking about Matt Brewer with the cold capitalist dystopia trying to sell his prints. James Carter's doing some charity work over here.
Hey Joey, how's it going?
Well, I got to ask you that question first. It was Zolder. I didn't have a good time at Zolder last season. Did you have a better time than I did?
I did. I like Zolder, Joey. I don't know why you don't like it. It's a nice track.
Don't like it. Do not like it whatsoever.
Yeah, well, P16 for the slowest guy on the track, I'll take it. So, but let's get to the charity stuff, because no one wants to watch me drive because I'm the slow guy.
Of course.
But yeah, so this week we're supporting Grady Memorial Hospital. The Grady Health System has a mission to support anyone that walks through its doors. So the Grady Foundation is raising money to provide for that care. So there's an annual event in the spring. It's a walk, run, cycle event where we raise money for the Grady Health Foundation. Put the link in the chat.
All right, we'll get the link in the YouTube chat. We'll get the link in the PRL Discord. We'll get the link in the PRL forums. We'll get the link everywhere we possibly can. There's a 2-week break. We got a certain holiday coming up next week in Thanksgiving down there in you got the schedule printed out. You're ahead of the game.
Yeah, I've got it right here. Just kind of check where we're going to be. So going to finish with Catalonia. Look at the Catalonia, Barcelona. It's going to be good. I love that track, Joey. How do you feel about that track, Joey?
I think it's terrible for passing, but in the F3 cars, it might be a little bit better. But for Thanksgiving next week, I asked Kevin Sandiego. He said they're gonna have a Puerto Rican flair to their Thanksgiving. We had some stuff in the trucks last night. What's on the Carter family table? Are there some peaches and peanuts from the Georgia harvest?
There probably will be. We are going to be going hiking in North Georgia, staying at a hostel called the Lenfoot Hike Inn, and they serve the most delicious peach spoon bread on Thanksgiving. So yes, there'll be some peaches. Peach spoon bread. It's really good. I'll send you the recipe.
I think they need to get you in the ads selling that peach spoon bread. But that's kind of weird. Normally, I'm going to Thanksgiving. I'm going to be sitting on the couch. I'm not going to be moving. And James Carter's taking the family on a hike.
We get to eat really well on this. Yeah. They really take care of you at this hostel. It's going to be a good time.
Those darn healthy people and their hikes. But enjoy the spoon bread. Enjoy the week off, and we'll see you in El Catalunya in 2 weeks.
Sure thing, Joey. See you there.
And also, again, we will have that charity link in the chat. So James Carter, as always, the charitable center of the Precision Racing League. A lot of drivers wanted to talk to us this week, Justin. That's good. I'm glad we got to hear from Matt Brewer. That was a good interview. James Carter with charity. More people got to show up in the field. John Quinn, come talk to us next week.
If I don't see a bunch of pictures in the background to help sell his emphasis on that next week, by the way, I'll be very depressed. But in all seriousness, the next time out is after a Thanksgiving break. It's Barcelona, Catalonia, for Joey's thoughts moments ago. December the 1st, that green light set for 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time. RaceSpot and VCO to be able to see how the season fares out for the PRL's F3 Series powered by VCO. Still plenty of spots on the line. Second on back in the championship standings, as well as potentially the fight for many other spots in the team standings after tonight's runs. But on that note, we'd like to thank you once again for what has been an eventful night, eventful interviews, eventful racing, and in the turn, eventful fun. For my broadcast partner tonight, Joey Devon, Hugo Ruiz, our producer, I'm Justin Prince saying so long. Enjoy the rest of your evening watching the PRL's IR04 series and the PRL's F3 series powered by VCO. We'll see you after Thanksgiving. Good night once again from Belgium.